I can't talk on demand. That's the thing. I just need a little something of a time.
Sure.
Oh, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about this guy that I who's who I watched when I went down to Florida for this corporate shoot.
Oh yeah, yeah. So what was
Yeah,
the shoot about the way?
yeah. So
Is that
basically, yeah,
trip
this
or you okay?
yeah, this was a corporate shoot. It was a corporate shoot, and it's really cool. I mean, this event brings some big timers. Jeb Bush, he actually showed up on one of them.
No way.
Yeah, Jeb Bush was there, and they had this
Mhm.
guy, Kevin Mitnick is his name. He was like,
Oh yeah.
you know him?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, this
I
guy
mean,
was he's a big deal. He works for the government now, but back in the day when he was hacking the systems of whatever systems they were, he was like FBI's most wanted, right? He was hired by the government after living a life of crime. He did his time in jail, I believe. I could be wrong.
yes,
I'm not
yes,
sure.
yes.
But then the
Yeah.
government later hired him because he's too good. I mean, that's how good. Like when the government hires you as a criminal, like that says something about how good you are, right?
It does say something
That
about
really
your skill.
does. Yeah, yeah.
Whether you agree with it or not, it's
It's like they need you that bad, like where like uh, the ethos don't matter anymore.
right,
They're
right.
desperate for you. You're so unique. But
Sure, sure.
yeah, he went down and basically it was really cool watching. I mean, he did this whole sort of like presentation on best practices of to be safe, right? To not be an idiot and let your social security number or your bank account be out there for everybody to see, right? But it was just really cool seeing him actually pull it off. He had a table with 4 laptops set up, and he would use one laptop as the perpetrating
Yeah,
unit,
yeah,
and then the other
yeah.
ones is like the victims that were being compromised, right, by the
Right,
perpetrator.
right,
And
right.
a couple of the really interesting things that he did. One that I thought was pretty cool was that he took a USB stick, right, that had some files on it, right, and he kind of painted this scenario where he says something to the effect of like, let's just say your employee come holiday season, your employee gets one of these USB sticks included in like a basket full of fruit or something like that, right, and your employee knows better than to just plug it in and like start toying around with it, right? So they'll give it to IT. IT takes the USB stick and plugs it into their computer, their beat up computer, right? Which is networked, by the way, right?
Right.
And formats it, right? And what he went on to say was that there were files in it, right, that got
Mhm.
formatted, but the code is not inside the files, but in the firmware, right? It's
Very cool.
crazy, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew that. I never knew that you could hide code in the firmware. So that
Yes,
never
yes.
got formatted, and then uh, so what happens then, right? So what happens was as soon as that happened, as soon as like he formatted that USB stick on the sort of
Yeah,
like the victim's laptop, like he
yes,
saw like all this body of code started showing up on his end on his personal laptop, let's just say.
yes.
And then basically that computer was compromised and hence like the whole system, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was really crazy. He also showed like a sort of a schematic of the network system of the Pentagon that was leaked out. It's insane, man. It was so crazy, the stuff he did. Another one is that he started a Wi-Fi network right at that spot that he was standing. He started a Wi-Fi network called AT&T Wi-Fi, right?
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. This is
this is a
and
classic. Yeah.
yeah, this is a classic because actually, and this is actually good for anyone who's a viewer to know. If you've ever logged into, let's say like I'm gonna actually generically say like, XYZ cafe Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
And so you log into this Wi-Fi. This is like, legitimate Wi-Fi directly from the cafe, the coffee shop that you're at. This is a known bug, especially in iOS. I can't confirm for Android, but assuming that you've logged in with an iPhone to that exact one and it's legitimate, upon returning, if somebody else ever puts in and starts a Wi-Fi hotspot with the exact identical name as XYZ Cafe Hotspot,
Right.
your phone, regardless of the fact it's a completely different router and you're, maybe across the street from your house, it'll log in. And at that point of logging in, it's not that your phone is directly compromised there, but what it is once you start loading up apps, once you start going on a web browser, that person, that attacker, can actually send you whatever websites they want to send you.
Right, yeah.
They can actually send you, like, if your banking is, xyzbank.com, and, they can actually have it pre-programmed to send you xyz, bank.com's website, but it's theirs.
Right.
And once you start putting your name and password in there, you're done.
Right.
You are done.
That is correct. Yeah. And what he did to that, I could have all my facts like kind of jumbled up because I saw the stuff in parts. But what he did is, I think once that person's computer was hacked into, he sent these pseudo updates. So
Yes.
you know how like our Macs have like, update is available, right?
Yes.
And so he would nudge somebody to click that so-called update button when in fact it was not an update. And
Right.
that's when they were just that's when he took complete control, like after the whole Wi-Fi thing. Yeah.
Really frightening.
Yeah.
It's really frightening. These things that used to be lore
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just like, what makes for great movies and television
Right.
is actually happening in real life.
Right.
I mean, is it gonna happen to you? Chances are no.
Right.
Can it happen to you? Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
That's the scary part. Is
Right.
absolutely. Just like, what are the chances of you getting mugged on the street? Actually, by
Right.
today's standards, really, really slim. It's like almost like no chance that's gonna happen to you.
Right.
But it can happen to you.
Right. That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Hey, total random question for you.
Sure.
That Wacom tablet,
Mm-hmm.
you're not supposed to put a protective screening of any kind, right? Like on top of the surface?
No, mine comes with it, but you really don't have to.
Like, I noticed it's getting scratched up.
Right. Okay.
Well, wait, actually, you know what? No, I take it back. It's just dirt.
Oh, okay.
I just wiped it off. Oh, good times.
Good times.
New Wacom tablet user.
Right. It's all
Everybody out
good.
there is, Ed's certainly the illustration master between the two of us. He has been doing this for quite a long time.
Trying.
You know what I think we should call this?
What?
I'm gonna put it right there. This should be kind of almost like a vlog podcast-ish type thing, where it's just like random conversations with designers.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it's got to have a catchy title.
That just sounds like where it's going.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure at some point we might have something of value to give people.
Right.
All the people who are bored to tears right now listening to us, but
Yeah.
it sounds like it's more like random conversations with designers.
Jeff, I'm gonna be a pain in the butt.
So
How did you and I meet?
we met at a wedding, and what's really weird is that was probably like my I don't know, 10th wedding at the time. I was like a wedding newbie.
Okay.
In terms of like photographing weddings, shooting weddings.
Right.
So I was totally new to that whole thing, and I wasn't nervous by any means, but I definitely was like, like I really need to concentrate.
Right.
I need to make sure I do a good job.
I think that's what it was too about that wedding, where you and I first crossed each other's paths. Was like I wasn't into like seeing what you were about, because
Right.
just as much as you were sort of like trying to stay on top of your game and focusing on the job at hand, I too was too busy preoccupying myself with like the next step, because my situation was for wedding video or for video production in general, you always have to be a step ahead of the game, meaning your setup, for whatever reason it's set up for, it has to be ready so that the actor, so to speak, just walk into the scene and then they just do their thing. Like they don't want to watch you like set things up. It's not going to happen, obviously, right?
Right.
So yeah, at the time I kind of thought of you like, oh, okay, here's a photo guy. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. We're not getting each other's ways. Everything is good.
Now,
So
question: when you were doing that, did you know? Like, I'm sorry, I take that back. Let me rephrase that question. Had you shot a lot of weddings already at that point?
you know what? I had shot not too many, But the funny thing is, like, with wedding videography, it's such a. I can only speak for video, right?
Yeah.
It's such a stressful day, because you're trying to manage all this gear. First of all, they're not paying you enough to have like a production assistant, to have an intern, to have a camera guy, a director, right?
Sure.
Show up.
Sure,
You basically, yeah, you wear all these shoes, and you have to make sure that there's no hitch in like the system, that you have your batteries charged up, that you pull the battery out of the charger when you're going from one place to another, that you are getting all the proper bits of footage, all that stuff. So the stress level.
And remember, and get everything back in one piece without like losing something along the way.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. Because very easily, and this probably goes for photographers as well, as soon as you forget that one piece of equipment, right? And I'm not talking about footage. Footage is like catastrophic. Footage is where they could just drive you to like bankruptcy, right? Like they'll just single-handedly like take down like your years of reputation, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Like when you what's that?
You probably can't recover from that very well.
Right. Correct.
At all. Without moving to another.
Right. So anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. So
with the craft and losing
yeah,
equipment and footage.
you can easily come home way poorer than you left. Is sort of the point of what I was trying to say.
Oh yes.
Easily, like there's nothing more demoralizing than like thinking, well, I should not have booked this event. I should have just stayed home, and I would have been so much better off. You know. So anyway, that's sort of kind of going back to where Jeff and I had met. I mean that's what happened. You and I just kind of crossed each other's paths, and then I think we crossed and then there was a bit of a referral thing going, right? Where I think you had referred a couple clients over my way, and that's how you and I yet again kind of bumped into each other.
And vice versa as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It was a really good working relationship in that regard. And I know that we had always talked about, like it's a shame that like I live in New York and you live in New Jersey.
Right.
And actually, in that, actually a fair distance away as well, not just simply because we're in different states, but that we are actually quite a distance apart.
Right.
That, it would have been like nice to have been able to share offices together or have done some, collaborate and stuff.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So, it was really kind of just timing and, life circumstances that brought me and Ed, to get to this point of saying, hey, like let's try working together.
Right. Correct. Yes, that's right. And this only all like materialized after you and I had gone different paths for almost a decade, right?
Pretty much.
It didn't even occur for you and I to even like get together for whatever reason. Yeah.
I was away, just for everybody else, I was away overseas, in Asia and the Middle East, for quite some time, for almost the better part of a decade. And Ed also went back and forth, and I think Ed's, done a ton of stuff in like weddings and then going totally into the corporate world.
Right.
And not actually working corporate, but creating ad pieces, internal pieces, web online space stuff as well.
Correct. Yep.
Correct.
Yep. That is true. Yeah. And those were some good days.
Yeah.
So those were some good days. I mean, so the latter part of my wedding career. So basically here's the thing. I knew that I wasn't going to stick around weddings forever, especially as I had later on discovered this new field called motion graphics, right? And it was new and exciting. I mean, and I I I remember the first time I started toying around with manipulating video footage, right? Where let's just say I was able to composite something on top of the video footage to sort of like to alter its let's just say storytelling. You know what I'm saying? I immediately felt this like immense power in my hands when I sort of considered the potential of what I can do to video footage, and that's when things took off for me. That's when I decided to like delve deeply into After Effects, which is sort of like the industry-wide standard software for motion graphics artists, right? For those of you who don't know. And then later on, I jumped into Maya, and that was freaking tough, by the way. That was like, it took me like 2 years learning it on and off to even kind of get an idea, a sense of how the whole thing worked. So 2 years because like I was very busy at the time, and it was just it was 2 months. It was 2 months for me to like wrap my head around, you know. But yeah.
Are you still doing Maya now?
I'm still doing Maya now. Yeah, definitely I am. Did I wish I could be like a Maya, like a Maya guy, like just full-time Maya guy? Yeah, I do. I really still like it. But the problem is, the issue is that the industry has changed so much that there are some, I guess, some things that have been more marketable than others. So the amount of effort that I put into something like Maya doesn't hold as much value, I guess, as it used to. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
You know, there are certain things. I mean, just the sort of like we're living in the days of virality. Is that a right, like a correct word? You know, we're
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, we're steering away from like the really polished, sort of commercially high-end commercial look, but more towards like kind of everyday substance that people can, I guess, relate to, that have some level of humor or very strong emotional content, right? That's not necessarily like Hollywood style, like match moved graphics and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So,
how does that make you feel?
That's a good question. I think it's I would say it's a little bit disheartening because so much effort and time goes into putting something together that includes like 3D models and modeling animation work. It's a bit disheartening, but at the same time, I can't dwell on it. You know, if the market is moving away from it, then that's what it is. I mean, some people are obviously going to. It depends what world you come from. If you come from a world where like you're getting those gigs all the time, then you're going to be disputing and saying, well, wait a minute, like no, like those jobs are everywhere. Yeah, I mean they might be right. Maybe I'm tapping into the wrong channels, right, to get those gigs. But I'm just kind of speaking to a very like broad spectrum of things, you know, just from a consumer's sort of trend perspective. Anyway, so I think as we were talking about, that's sort of in a nutshell where Jeff and I are coming from. I hope you guys kind of got a little background on who we are, where we've come from, how we've met. I hope you found that somewhat interesting, and more to come. We're going to basically, this is a non sequitur show, right? Is that the right term, Jeff?
I think so.
Non sequitur, like basically it's two guys having a conversation, but this is design oriented. It's motion graphics, photography based, with a lot of really cool trivia that can help you impress your friends, right? Hopefully that's what we hope.
Out of ridiculous ideas and thoughts.
Right.
You know, I think, you know, especially you know, oddly enough, you know, Ed in the fine art space, you know, doesn't give himself enough credit, but he actually does do quite a lot of things from, you know, just illustration for himself. You know, he does a lot of like real real physical work, pieces of work that, he's done for things like cars and, for, different costumes and stuff. I'm sure all that stuff will start to flow out as we flesh the show out.
Yeah, hopefully. Yep, absolutely.
And we're going to have a lot of random conversations.
Right.
And talks, and, we hope that you guys will join in on that.
Right.
And yeah, let's figure out what this thing is about.
Yeah, and I just want to add to what Jeff is saying over here. I mean, there is a reason why Jeff and I decided to put ourselves out on YouTube. We don't want to take up like server space, okay, just for the heck of it. I feel very strongly that we do have some really interesting things that do come up in our conversation very often, especially as we start to get used to being in front of the camera and being recorded, right? So, like I said, those of you who stick around will be, I think, pretty entertained. You will be rewarded with your patience, right?
Agreed.
All right, guys. So, okay, that was our first episode. Thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you soon.